All right, folks. We are going to do shoulder ultrasound today. Marching orders for today. A couple of things. One is your imaging report is due at the end of the week. We will have time in class, next class, for you to work on the imaging report. Yeah, that's it. We're doing shoulder today. All right. So first what we got to do is we got to start with a little bit of anatomy about the shoulder. Your shoulder and the muscles that stabilize it make up what is called the rotator cuff. The rotator cuff is made up of a couple of different muscles. We have the supraspinatus, we have the infraspinatus, the teres minor, and we also have the subscapularis, which is not illustrated in either one of these images, but it is sits right here on the anterior surface of your shoulder blade and attaches onto your humerus. Your shoulder joint, in comparison to, say, your knee joint, is a lot more mobile. And so there's a direct relationship between the amount of mobility you have through a joint and the amount of stability that your joint has. So the more mobile, the less stable we're going to be in general, right? So we can think of our elbow joint. We don't have a ton of degrees of freedom with our elbow joint. It's just moving back and forth, flexion and extension, whereas our shoulder joint, we have this big range of motion that allows us to move all over the place, but as a result, we have a lot less mechanical stability through bony stability and a lot more dynamic stability through musculature. And so it's prone to overuse injury and can be prone to injury more easily. Another structure we want to appreciate is our biceps. Our biceps is named for the number of heads that attaches onto our shoulder. So it has two heads, a long head and a short head. We have this short head here. It attaches onto what's called the coracoid process on your shoulder blade. And then you have the long head, which goes through what's called the intertubercular groove on your humerus and attaches onto the kind of superior aspect of your glenoid on your shoulder blade, where your humerus and your shoulder blade articulate. It's kind of like a golf ball on a tee. All right, so not a lot of surface area on your shoulder blade for your humerus, but it kind of sits nicely on there. When we're looking from, we've cut this person's head off and we're looking straight down, we can also see our clavicle right here articulates with our shoulder blade, specifically on the acromion. And so our clavicle articulates with our acromion. Another area that you may see patients have frequent injury is to their AC joint or acromioclavicular joint. So we just join the two names of the structures together to get to the joint name. And we can see what's called the suprascapular fossa, where the supraspinatus muscle sits, right in that fossa right there. So first structure that we're going to do ultrasound of is the biceps. We have the short head and the long head. In this class right now, we're going to just appreciate the long head of the biceps, and we're going to try and get an image of the biceps as it runs through the intertubercular groove right there. And so we're going to place our ultrasound probe in short axis right here, right across, so that we can see that tendon running through the groove. And so this is the patient position that you're going to have your partner in, and you can see the greater and lesser trochanters on either side, and here's that intertubercular groove where that bicep tendon runs through. So that's in that short axis, and then we can also appreciate it in the long axis once again, as it's running through that intertubercular groove and attaching onto the glenoid. So we'll take short axis and long axis, and then we'll go over biceps tendon tear. Okay? All right, let's grab each of you all a probe.
Mitch, can you turn the light off?
Yeah, that's where we go. It's the blue
Thanks, Mitch.
Are we in the right area?
Yep. So the white coming into there.
Ooh. So you take a photo? Is mine really bright?
Wait, go back. Go back quick.
Or you're developing it. This is the.
There. That looks really bright. But that's really
And you're seeing it's marked in
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, go, you pass my phone. So
Oh, do we?
yeah, we do it now. You have to do it along.
I did do it.
Oh, you take photos of this?
I don't know.
So,
And that's what so we always see when there's
Haley goes, did you get hacked? I actually did. I did mean to send this one.
where did it go?
It's a kid's something. Stop moving.
That's funny. Oh,
don't worry about it. Oh my god.
did you start with the short axis?
Yeah, we found
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Perfect. So to go into the other one, look, we're gonna center that off. Now, don't look at the screen, look at your probe. Because it's an exact 90-degree turn, just rotate it 90 degrees. Now,
Is this the
and there you go.
What is that?
This is the long. So you've got bone, you've got tendon, and then you've got deltoid muscle.
Oh, money.
If you look at the screen when you do that, so it's not the screen. Everything we do is this way or that way. So it's easier just to make, to look at the probe. So what you got right on the way. A lot of people. Because what they'll do is if you move on the tendon, all you'll see is the deltoid muscle.
Does this look right? 10?
Probably. Why don't you come up?
It's just that's not it. That's the opposite.
So, this is.
Oh, I see this too. I didn't know that. Sorry.
That's a hilarious
I said this one. Can we wipe off the gel now? Yeah, we're trying to figure out an hour. I'll see. I think probably Thursday or tomorrow. Yeah. We'll do Thursday or yeah. Will you text me
My probe is being finicky.
We had one
Oh. I don't know, it resets it somehow.
Good to know.
Yeah, just, yeah. I was in a conference, I had like 3 of them that weren't working, and I'm like, oh my God.
I hope that wasn't conference after that.
See, that's good. And I just.
All right, so we've seen biceps tendon and short axis. We can also see, typically on a tear in patients, we will see more hypoechoic imaging around the tendon and the tendon sheath. You can see this asymptomatic side versus this symptomatic side in this biceps tendon tear. And then in the long axis, you can see here's the torn edge. We have this hypoechoic area right here off to the right of more parallel muscular and tendinous fibers. And then we also have a tendon folded on itself. So we have this in short axis on the left-hand side, and on the right side we can see it's folded a little bit back on itself. All right. Any questions on biceps tendon?
Can you go back one to the torn one versus the non-torn one?
Yeah.
See? No, that was neat.
Okay. So now supraspinatus. Supraspinatus, most frequently torn muscle in the rotator cuff. If someone tells you they've torn the rotator cuff, most likely it's the supraspinatus. I think it's like 75 to 80%. I did a report on this, I should know. Most 75 to 80% is supraspinatus. Another 10 to 15% is infraspinatus, and then like another like 5 is subscapularis. So most of the time you're doing supraspinatus. We can see in this patient position, you also have to take note that the examiner is using a diagonal placement of the probe in order to be parallel with the supraspinatus as it inserts onto the humerus. So we can't go directly parallel because with the body, because otherwise we're going to get just a chromium and then we'll kind of get a good drop off and we won't really be able to see that supraspinatus as it inserts. It'll be kind of going diagonal through our plane of view, so we have to adjust our probe angle in order to be parallel with those fibers as it attaches onto the humerus. So once again, we have this patient kind of like they're putting their hand in their back pocket. You have it diagonally with the indicator pointing towards the patient's ear, and you can see this nice thick supraspinatus as it comes over and inserts onto the greater tuberosity of the humerus. So it should look like a nice bike tire. That's what was how I have been taught on how to visualize it. So that's the supraspinatus, okay? And then the next slide is tear. All right, go for it. It's a better image.
So you're gonna start here.
Gotta get a diagonal.
A Hershey?
Just swipe it. Oh.
So this side, since you're going towards here on this is our patient's
So we're going to start coming over from here. There's your super skin.
That's
You're no longer frustrated. You're like, ugh. Now it's like, what is it? It's just like,
This is one of those years before they say, this is what we're watching. When we were I don't think he just like had in mind.
very kind of things.
So it's not actually, it's not stable. That's where you work on but there you go. Now, this 93. And there's your entire ring. This is called a short axis. Okay, so, sorry. Okay, so there you go. That black line is your biceps tendon.
Okay.
And then that's perfect. That's it.
What do you think?
So when we have patients with a suspected, oh wait,
It worked.
so when we have patients with a supraspinatus tear, what we can see is once again more hypoechoic areas within the muscle itself. So we can see right here in this middle portion, we can see an area where it is hypoechoic. And so that would indicate to us that it's a tear. We can see the greater tuberosity right here, and it's on that kind of attachment point where we have the tear. We also have another look right here where we have a little bit of tearing here and a little bit of tearing here right as we get onto that greater tuberosity.
Okay, I'm going to go through why this tendon tears the most. And I was telling the group back there, we are not designed our shoulders are not designed real well. You know, I always laugh because I don't think when we were, nobody intended us to be pushing around tires like in CrossFit or, you know, tackles or that kind of thing. You know, we were meant to gather food and stuff like that. So the things that we do are this, up and down all the time. And that tendon, the main one there, where your AC joint is, underneath that gets a lot of spurring. You may have a predisposition to this because of genetics. You can get it from overuse, but over and over as you're raising your arm, you're pushing that tendon. It's like a rock, a sharp rock on a rope, and it just is constantly wearing away until, you know, eventually it can just go. Same thing with the biceps tendon. That's why we look at the long head. We don't look at the short head routinely because there's nothing in the way. But that bicipital groove with this constant motion is just forever rubbing in there. So that's why we look at the things we do and why they get irritated. And you can see even on the bone there, the roughness along the bone. You guys all have perfectly smooth bone. And even Mitch probably does. Yep. Me, I don't. Mine's all arthritic. But that kind of rubbing, constant rubbing, is what's going to cause the irritation.
And another thing, just to build on what Ms. Noble's saying, is predisposition. Sometimes even the space between your AC joint and where your muscles are can be shaped differently. And so depending on essentially genetics and the way that your bones formed, you can have more or less space in that area for the tendon to flow through, and so it can make it so that you're more predisposed to rubbing or spurring as compared to other people.
And it's not just shoulder, it's anywhere in the body. Knees, you hear a lot of people, and your parents, grandparents, how many of you have grandparents who've had knee replacements or their knees hurt? Yeah, and then your mom and dad, they reach a certain point, it's like, oh, my knees hurt too. And some people can go on forever. They're 90 years old and have no knee issues. It's family heredity. You can do things to overcome that and compensate for it, but some of this stuff you can't do a lot of it.
Any questions on supraspinatus? All right, next one is subscapularis. So this is a better illustration of the subscapularis on the more anterior side of your scapula. You can't feel it on yourself, on another person, but because it is deep to the bone. So we're on the underside. We can see it has this broad origin on your shoulder blade and inserts onto the lesser tubercle of your humerus, one of the 4 rotator cuff muscles. And so when we look at it, we're just gonna take some. These are kind of hard to image. I'm not gonna have you image these today, mainly because I'm not super comfortable with it, so I don't wanna misguide you on how to do it, but we can see asymptomatic subscapularis right here as it attaches onto that lesser tuberosity, and then we have a full thickness tear right here, very rare tear for the subscapularis, and we can see how hypoechoic and how just more jumbled up to me that looks symptomatic versus asymptomatic.
The subscap actually is in that biceps view. They want to.
Yeah.
They want to look at that. I mean,
So
it's really pretty easy.
I'll have Miss Noble demonstrate the subscap.
Okay,
imaging
it's going to be where you guys got the biceps tendon, and we did this when you're in this view. Just rotate your arm out, and you're going to have the subscapularis right there. Okay, so
short axis?
In short axis on the biceps will be long axis on the subscap. They run in different directions, so the fibers of the subscap go this way, the long head of the biceps go that way, but we're going to look at it in this view. So find that biceps again, and then rotate your arm out. And this is like we always say, this is an ooh-ah moment. Keep your, when you can see that motion of the arm. So short axis, so go that way. Over to left to right.
Oh my God.
You can go, that's not. So, There's your bicep.
No, there.
There's that tendon.
You find the bicep.
When I say when I feel it, that's the tendon. Yep, biceps from here. Yep, good. And then that two muscle on the left is where the tendon is. So when you that's exactly, now watch this. This one go over here. And watch this. So that's your joints. Yeah. You want to do it. Yeah, but your capsule just
Okay.
Is your junior joints improved?
It's like I know. I'll do some stuff on the wall.
Yeah.
Did we find it?
Yeah, we did. We found it. Okay. We found lots of things.
Got it? I have a bunch of movies. I probably go all the way up.
You're right on it. Okay, so watch this. So go to both.
Short axis, not long.
So you're gonna be.
Wait, aren't I supposed to be turning it out?
There you go. That's right there.
There.
That's your joints. Yeah. See, that's where the leg. You know what I'm talking
Oh, we got it.
Very cool. That's awesome. You did a great job.
That's not the right thing.
So,
Tell me you want to take a picture.
so there's the intratracheal groove. Superficial.
Isn't this like good?
Sorry, Kayla, our wings are stuck.
Can you pass me on a towel? Just I'm in the my sister's hopping a little bit and I'm in the oh is this the one that you're trying to get
I love it.
All right. One of, hold on, let me see. Okay. So as we move on, we can also look at the AC joint. I like to look at these. Clinically, if I think that a patient has fractured their clavicle or sprained their AC joint, I'm going to do more palpation rather than ultrasound. With patients who completely dislocate their AC joint. There's something called the piano key sign where the patient's clavicle, you will be able to push down on it and it will feel like you're playing a key on the piano.
Oh, that's funky.
That's fun. I had my first one when I worked at Queen Creek.
What were they doing?
Playing football?
Yeah. Like what positions?
I don't remember. My preceptor came over to me and was like, "You want to see piano key sign?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." It's just like, stick your hand up under here. And so I put my hand. So I put my hand under his. So I put my hand up under the patient's shoulder pads and I pressed down with one finger on their clavicle. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that does feel like a piano key."
It doesn't hurt
Did
then?
you used to play the piano?
No, it's like
Everyone else has piano.
like you can just you just feel it.
Oddball.
So AC joint,
Piano lessons. I did piano shows.
AC joint. When we were imaging it, we are going to look at it. This is short axis or long axis. Long axis of the AC joint. And we will be able to see both sides. We will be able to see the acromion and the clavicle. We can see in this patient positioning, it's relatively superficial structure, so you can zoom in, decrease the depth on your screens to get a better view. And you can see my AC joint right here, and we can see the cartilaginous space where it's hypoechoic between the bones.
Hey, Mitch.
Yes.
You were telling him earlier about genetic differences
Mhm.
in this, when pointing out your AC. You've got a type.
I do? Okay.
Well,
It's probably why my shoulder clicks.
Yeah, this is what he was saying, his acromion there are 3 types. If you ever hear like a type 1, 2, or 3 acromion. So through here, if it goes straight across, you don't have that, it's a type 1. So when you raise, you're not really digging anything in there. If you're like Mitch, and it curves down, when you raise up, every time you raise up, that bone is gonna be digging into the tendon, which is, can you make it click?
Oh, I can make mine click.
Can you make,
Yeah.
let's hear it. Oh.
oh, that's enough.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah.
Okay,
So every
that's different, that's.
so every time I raise my arm, I have clicking.
Yeah.
Oh, I have that in my leg.
I have it on my
You can
feet.
see.
Every time I walk anywhere,
I
my
have
That's
it like right.
something.
I feel like if I,
Yeah,
if I
but
do-
anyhow, just seeing that's a really good example, unfortunately.
my arch is just collapsed.
All right, so we're going long axis, AC joint.
Mitch, you're type 2.
You're special.
Yes, Mitch.
Add to the list of my problems.
No, it's a special.
Most I can lose.
No. Yeah, why are you joining us?
Join us.
It's your turn to roll over.
Okay. Okay, goes on the top area.
Oh, that's so good.
It actually doesn't matter. In real life,
I think that's it. That's. It's not tight end, so. So, you start with.
Mitch. How do we know where to look if yours is under?
First you gotta palpate. So, Kayla, take your fingers. We're gonna feel on the
Well, I was talking before is young.
Okay, so we found her clavicle right here. Remove all
Everything mine goes down.
and then you know approximately where we're putting it, so we're gonna go parallel with the clavicle. Is that parallel?
That's
or
perpendicular.
So, right there, look on the bone on the left.
Hand lower on the throat.
Yeah. See how it's.
Right in there, huh? What is that? Why is there a little
There's-
circle? Really? You gotta be on top there. What is that?
Stop.
I don't know what you want me to do.
So there's her AC joint.
Is mine like yours?
The
Look, it goes down over there.
clavicle and the chrome. There's that joint space.
Take a photo, Chloe. Chloe.
That's it.
Bitch, does mine go down like yours?
That means that.
Decrease the depth of the clavicle.
And then. What's worse? What do you do? See, it has the different when you talk about sports, the problem is then all of a sudden they're gonna go back and
Like you said, it was like,
Take it back.
How's your results today? Yeah, like it's just kind of like, what is that?
Chromium, clavicle.
There's like this class.
Do we both have type 2? Big chub.
Oh, that's what you're there. That's also. No, I have like. No, there's
so now, just move this way. And there's.
That's what you're doing. So what's a good show?
What's your biggest gap? We do have the top one.
See what you do. There we go. Back up a little. See it moving on both sides? That's what happens, so that's underneath your cranium. So when you raise, it's going underneath that. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's like the house
I'd say that when you're in this
yeah, it just makes
so more like like the next like tomorrow, right?
They're two different things, so this is that. So what are your? Then you have then you have subcutaneous.
What'd you respond to him? Oh, it's hat.
What is it, Alpha?
Are you a Yoshi?
I don't remember.
No, I'm
Oh,
just
no, there he
like-
is.
She can still wear, I mean, are people doing most of the double shifts now?
Yeah.
So,
We're wearing the same shit.
when is mine?
So we can visualize
Yeah, Mitch.
clavicle fractures on ultrasound. We can visualize fractures on ultrasound. We can see right in. We can see right in here. This is the left clavicle. So here is the medial side, more towards the middle of your body, lateral side, and we can see that discontinuity in the bone just from this ultrasound scan here. Last scanning one. This one I think is the most complicated one and hardest to do. Infraspinatus and teres minor. Infraspinatus below the spine of the scapula has a broad origin on the infraspinatus fossa, inserts onto the greater tubercle, as well as the teres minor does the same thing. Both part of the rotator cuff, and when we have patients, we come in from the back side. Once again, we're going vertical, we're going diagonal, Ginny? Long axis. Left to right, and we can see not only deltoid, but also infraspinatus, teres minor, and we can see that glenoid.
Oh, okay, sorry, that view is short axis.
Yeah. So this view is short axis. We're taking slices of the infraspinatus and teres minor. And so patient, you have them with their hand on their opposite shoulder, and you're coming in through the backside, just distal to the spine of their scapula. So you can feel the spine of their shoulder blade and just going inferior to that or towards the floor and going up and down to get this nice short axis view. All right, go for it.
And just so you know, the likelihood of a teres minor tear is like slim to none. There are maybe 3% of the people ever have it. So
Okay. Why doesn't someone else speak the devil?
Join us, Mitch.
Join us. Baby, you want to take this one?
So where am I trying to go?
Look at that picture.
Okay.
Turn around, buddy.
Here? This is right.
What's your password? It's global. Oh. And.
Can I have my phone?
Where's your phone, man?
It's like 4 lines.
More lateral.
you walk in the room very good.
Which way?
There are
Am I supposed to turn it this way?
Here's your cheese spreads.
Here. Here. Close your foot.
So here we have the deltoid. why you can see the distinction between the two muscles because
It's like scarring and separation.
fashion.
So it's good. But there are little goofy disorders.
Determination.
I'm gonna get it.
Are you sure how to
It's gonna be.
you said to see you night tonight? That's how
Oh yeah. I'll give it to you.
There you go. So that actually is your he's so massive, we'll increase the depth of
If I, okay, I'm gonna trust you.
Oh, they care.
How do you check the line?
I know.
Kayla, how do you check the line?
I don't eat lunch.
When's the last time you give a housekeeper?
So when you're
Where's the little part down there?
So you do that in motion.
Make sure we have another one.
I don't think that I have. We're just saying that I'm having trouble finding since the line of distinction. No, we're not. Good. Yeah, I won't order. If it's not hot dog, you actually I do too. That's why I'm saying there are hot dogs. It's a great. No, wait.
So now you're getting.
Don't do that. So you're trying to get the top sheets again. It's hard.
So now if you move
Let me do
It's for it's even my hands. I need a fast.
Stop! He's slow anyway.
But this is going
Move your hands.
I know, I'm not saying
I think a little
Is it just senior?
It's supposed to be, but he put junior in, which I don't know why.
Senior what?
We'll go there.
I break the school record and then.
For blue gold
You don't
watch.
next year.
Wait, for blue gold what?
The
roof's so under, so
Oh.
that is 4 years.
That's why.
But no, but this is. I know that sounds, but what?
Oh, I'm quitting school after
Oh, okay.
so that I don't correct myself.
Yeah, but.
Baseball, they look like Jake.
Okay.
They have a map.
All right. Does anyone have, we have a little over 10 minutes left. Does anyone have something that they want to scan that we have not covered?
We can do the question of the day.
We'll leave that for next time.
Well, no, we can do it now. We have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He keeps talking about on the ultrasound.
Well, this sounds like fun.
Yeah, and
Question of the day.
Anything you want to scan before we don't get to have Miss Noble anymore?
Okay, so far we have seen shoulder.
Mhm.
We've got somebody over there who's gonna get an amputation by the time he's 40. He's got crackling on his AC joint. Anybody else have issues they want to take a look at?
We've scanned menisci, we've done patellar tendon, quad tendon, patella.
Any basketball players in here?
Yeah, Javi, you're a basketball player. She asked if there were any basketball
I was gonna
players.
say, how's your knee? How do your knees feel?
My right one's like messed up.
Okay, I was gonna say, I wonder, just because basketball, the patella tendon gets a lot of issue. Did you look at it last week?
No, with me it's like my meniscus, that's like messed up.
Oh, okay. Have you had surgery?
No.
No, just bothers you.
Yeah, it like gets like inflamed and stuff.
All right, if no one has anything, I'm gonna have you spend this next 10 minutes working on your ultrasound reports, your imaging reports, and then I'll let you go to lunch, okay?